And I like to wander around, but they tell me that I got to stay over here, so if I get fidgety, that's what it is. Are you going to stand behind me? That's
No,
that's really going to bother
I'm
me.
making nervous, I can tell. I'm gonna move.
Yeah, if you're going to stand behind me, you get to go first. So, anyway, again, I'm Perry Galloway from Augusta, Arkansas. About 75 miles each way between Memphis and Little Rock. I farm about 10,000 acres, 90+% irrigated, corn, soybeans, wheat and rice, and we've had some successes. On my corn, since we're talking about corn, traditionally I do it the old-fashioned way. I bed it, use in-furrow, go 4 miles an hour, et cetera, et cetera. And this year, Greenway wanted me to demo the 1795 Exacta merge, and I told them I would, so I planted about 400 acres on 30-inch. It was what I call a 1631 planter. And then they wanted to come get it, and I said, no, I got to plant some 15-inch corn just to see. So here's the results we got. I found it pretty interesting, so we'll just start. Jeremy Bullington with Greenway, he's a precision ag advisor, does all the technical stuff. He actually processed this data. So without him, I could not have done a very good job. So we'll try this. So the variables, this was a Pioneer, excuse me, 1197. And it's about a 130 acre field. We planted about 90 acres at 34,000 at 4 miles an hour on beds with an in-furrow pop-up fertilizer. And then we used this 1795 planter and planted 34,000, 40,000, and 50,000 at 15 and 30s. And that's all this seed was over-treated with Invigorate, which is a product by Genesis Ag, as well as Tefferson Zinc to get our zinc. So there's a planter. It's a pretty big rig. Are y'all familiar with it? Have y'all seen it, demoed it, own one or two or three? I think they're about $250,000, but again, we demoed this one.
So you planting
Yeah.
on rows, or are you planting out on flat?
Now this is flat. All this is flat. The 38-inch stuff that traditionally was on beds, and then I've got 50 acres that was planted flat on the 15-inch and the 30-inch. And that's an electric driven with a brush delivery system to the ground, if y'all aren't familiar. So it's sometimes referred to as a 10-mile-an-hour planter, and we did do some at 10. So that's what it looked like. We did use RTK. We've got to use RTK mainly for harvest, because I've got one harvest picture in here. I've actually got a video, but I can't ever get videos to work right on PowerPoint. So I do have a still shot of harvest, and it will work. And I use a 30-inch head to harvest a 15-inch corn, and on of course a 38-inch corn, I've got several 38-inch headers. There it is. What is that? V3V corn at on the 38 twins at 34,000. All right, there's a 15 and 30s. This, I use a pointer. This would be a 30-inch spacing, and these over here would be the 15. That's where we switched over, and that's at 40,000. And I lay this dollar bill down. 30-inch rows at 50,000. That's about 3.5 inches between the plants. So then when you go to 15s, you can see it's about 7 inches, a little bit longer than a dollar between the plants. So what we're doing, really spacing those plants out and giving them more room to grow, which I've got a theory that I think a plant surrounded by other plants equally, it just grows off better. And I think one of these pictures, there it is, kind of across the whole field down the row. See it emerge nicely and really grew off well. Some more pictures there. There it is. I don't know what that is, probably V6 corn. And the competition between the plants, again, it grew off well and was real consistent, so I was pleased with that. Now what we did get into is that this population is 50,000. It did lodge. We got a thunderstorm in, and it had spots that quite a fair amount of it was down. We did do a pretty good job harvesting it, but you know, there were some issues out there. Of course, planting at 15 inches, I didn't want to damage the crop any more than I had to, so we had to use a plane for all our pesticide applications, herbicides, and then we fertilize it with urea, and combination urea and ammonium sulfate. Got about 260 units of total in on this, and 50 to 60 units of sulfur. And our pre-plant program on all my corn, I just put out two tons of poultry litter. That's been working well for us in the past, so we stuck with that. So there's a picture of the harvest. You can see that the rows are not defined, but if you get it set and lock in the auto steer, it will harvest it. And I had, say, 25 acres of this. Probably wouldn't want much more than that because it is slow, 2.5 miles an hour or slower. And but all in all, it worked fine. So now the yield data. The picture on y'all's left would be the raw data. On the right is the filtered data. Right here, where you start picking a lot of green, that is a 38-inch twin row stuff. So just looking at the raw data, you can tell it was better. So what we're concentrating on is
You said that's 38 twins.
38 twins. Right there, this way was all 38 twins, and from right there north is the this section would be the 30-inch, and this section would be the 15-inch. So there is some variability between the two. But what I'm going to try to concentrate today on, not necessarily the 38s versus this 15s and 30s, but the difference between the 30 and the 15s. Because with this much of the field, approximately 90 acres, and the 38 twins, with a few different variables, the yield was higher. So it kind of skews the data a little bit on the 38-inch compared to the 30s and 15s.
You harvest the 15 with a platform?
I harvested with a 30-inch corn head.
None of them are irrigated.
No, I thought I said all pivot irrigated.
Okay.
Yeah, let me back up. Pivot is right there. That's a pivot road right there. All right, so that's how it laid out. We had a section of the 38 twin row that we kept on the south end of the roughly 50-acre block, and then we had the 30-inch rows at the different populations and the 15-inch rows at different populations. So there is the ultimate yield by row spacing. So in this average, of course, we're looking at several variables. We got the planting speed and the population and the row spacing. So the combination of the 15-inch versus the 15-inch overall yield of 234.67, the 30-inch 230.26, and then the twin row 38 bedded 253.38.
Same population throughout?
I'll get to that. Now, there's multiple populations within these groups. I don't know why. There it is. Yeah, each except for the twin row, except for this 253, it was all at 34,000. But there's 34, 40, and 50 in this 30-inch stuff, and there's 34, 40, and 50 in the 15-inch. So, and there it is again. The 15-inch single row, as an average, out-yielded the 30-inch by 4 bushels. And I say average because we got a different planting populations. So I'm going to break that out in a minute. And of course, the twin row all at 34,000 made 253. All right, so there's our different populations. Again, this is a twin row at 34,000. This right here is the 30-inch at the different populations, and these top three are the 15-inch. And there it is again, 252. So this is twin row, this is the three 30-inch rows, and then this is the 15-inch rows. And this would be 50,000, 50,000, 40,000, and 34,000 on the 15-inch. And there it is, breaking it up by the yield. Now here's where the data gets skewed, because the biggest part of the field was a twin row 38s. So this is taking in a lot more acres at a higher yield. So that's, I mean, it's true, but it's everything's not equal. Right here is the numbers I'm looking at, the 40,000 and 50,000.
Did you have much difference in lodging? When
Only on the 50,000.
On the 50?
The 50,000 did lodge, and I could see it from the air. I mean, it was plain as day. And you know, with probably 10% of the passes that were at 50,000 did lodge. Not the whole pass, but
Areas of
you know how the wind whips around, it just twists it up and it lodged. So,
Is there any reason why you didn't go up on your populations on the twin row? Just 34.
because, yeah, there is a reason. I didn't know I was doing this until we were finishing up with the twin row. And then I said, y'all stop, I'm fixing to ruin the world.
Perry, do you plan any twin row higher than the 34,000, or is that just what you plan?
Yeah, I've gone back to 34. I mean, I'm getting the same yields, you know, in the 250 range to 280. Occasionally we'll break 300, but, you know, I've gone as high as 44, 46, done a lot at 38. And evidently I've got a limiting factor besides population to gain additional yield by higher plant population.
Because I know a lot of guys that are planting at 36 to 38
Yeah.
pretty consistently.
And they want me to go down this year. Pioneer wants me to go down to 32.
Variety specific though by population, what you're picking and what you're planting.
Is this a fixed?
Say it again.
The varieties selected for population. You're not just taking any variety of hybrid.
No, I adjust it between hybrids.
Yeah.
This is what they want me planted
Was
at.
this all determined here? Was this all determined here, corn?
It's,
or
no, it's flex.
all flex.
Mm-hmm. So, but Pioneer wanted me to plant this 1197, so that's what we did mainly because of the stature, I think, and the yield potential.
So the corn that lodged was Pioneer corn?
Mm-hmm. At the higher populations,
That's at 50,000.
at 50,000.
Perry, did you say that the twin row corn was on beds? And
The twin row is on beds,
flat?
and the 15s and 30s was flat.
Do you think that had any effect?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm mainly concentrating on the difference between the 30s and the 15s. And the twin 38s obviously did better, but again, it was bedded. We had a wet spring, and it had some pop-up fertilizer on it.
So you didn't have starter fertilizer on it?
No, that was a demo planter. It wasn't set up. It was just right from the factory. Put the seed in it, and it was easy to run. Does anyone have one of these things? Run one, demoed one?
I mean, I've been around the John Deere planter set up the precision planting speed tubes. That hadn't been.
10 miles an hour. I was hands-on on all this, planting and harvest. I'm not hands-on on everything, but I planted this and harvested it. And 10 miles an hour is fast.
It's scary fast.
I mean, if you didn't have auto steer, I mean, even with auto steer, I felt like I couldn't monitor everything. I mean, all you're doing is basically holding on and glancing down at the monitors. Hey, when you can catch your breath. What I found comfortable speed was in that 6.5 mile an hour range. I could run it, monitor everything I felt like I needed to, and do a good job. But 10 miles an hour, you're just holding on. I mean, the dust, turn rows. I mean, if you blink, you may run in a ditch or something. And I mean that, and I might get used to it if I ran it more than 2 or 3 hours. But 10 miles an hour was very fast. But when I told y'all earlier, we planted 400 acres up with it, and I planted around 6.5 miles an hour. That was a good comfortable speed. And 4 miles an hour, you know, that's slow. You never feel like you're never going to get to the end, or never get the field finished. But
Perry, how much difference in uniformity? Did you look at uniformity of the stand?
yes, and the data is going to support it if I remember to point it out. But at 10 miles an hour, on this planter, this 1795 planter, 10 miles an hour was better than 4 miles an hour. And also reflected that on the monitor. It was planting about 93%, and I went up to the 7 mile an hour range and got to say 98. But when you got to 10, it was showing 99. I didn't believe it. But as far as uniform emergence, properly spaced seed, it did what it's supposed to do. I was impressed with it. All right, so again, this is I gotta remember to use this pointer. This is a 15 inch, and this is a 30 inch, and this is a 38 at the different populations. Okay, so on the 15 inch rows, 34,000 made 226.4, 40,000 made 240.8, and 237.3 on the 50,000. Remember, that's the same input, so if we would have put out more fertilizer or managed it differently at the 50,000 population, might have done better. And we had, you know, I've mentioned it 2 or 3 times, we had the lodging issue, so that probably hurt the yield. And then 30 inch, kind of the same thing, except when we went to 50,000, it went down. Some of that may have been due to lodging. And this is acres of each we had. So we had 7.1 at the 34, 7.1 at 40, and 8.9 at the 50. Same thing down here.
Perry, did you take final stand count or just plant?
You know, I did, but I don't have that with me. You saw those pictures. It was perfect. It came up great, looked good, spaced well. All right, now here's the speed stuff. 4 mile an hour on the 38 inch twins, and then the green is 7 mile an hour, and that's when I'm talking about the 6.5 where I was comfortable, 6.5 to 7, and then the 10 mile an hour. And there was some more. I don't know why I picked it up. There should have been about twice that much 10 mile an hour stuff. It was hard to hold on, so I didn't do a lot of it. Okay, there's the yields by speed. So the 10 mile an hour, I think, is a 235.05. On this particular one, the 7 mile an hour at 238.49. I don't remember what population range that was. Then when we got up here, there was a 34,000 at the 4 mile an hour. So there it is by speed. And again, remember, the majority of the field was planted at 4 mile an hour with that twin row planter, so that number is going to be high just because that portion of the field yielded better. And then the 7 and 10 overall is showing about the same, 1 bushel difference. All right, speed by row. The 15 inch stuff at 410 and 7 was about the same, except if you notice the 10 mile an hour is almost a bushel better than the other. And I asked Jeremy at Greenway, I said, and I noticed it when we first started looking at this data the day before yesterday. I said, dang, the 10's higher than the 4. He said, everywhere we run this, all over the territory, it shows up like that. So this planter will do what it's supposed to do. Same way with the 30 inch. it's higher than, the 4 and the 7. The 4 and the 7 are about the same. And then there's the 38 twins again at 4. Across the field, he ran this through some sort of analysis. He felt like it's important, so I'll put it in here. I'll just read it. The average yield for this harvest was 238.1, and 95% of the yields fell between 193.7 and 282.5. So there's 88 bushels of variability in the field. And I thought that sounded like a lot, but according to Jeremy and the guys who process this data, said that's actually pretty good, because we're running between, well, 194 and 282. Anyone have any thoughts on that? Does that stick out as a lot of variability? About normal? I didn't know. I thought we had a real consistent crop this year. Okay, so any questions? Well, hold on. I got a summary here. Let me do that. Let me just read it because I wrote it down. All right, my complex traditional method did out yield the 30 and 15 inch stuff, but overall the 15 inch corn at the 40,000 out yielded and at 7 to 10 miles an hour out yielded in combination of the 30 inch between 6 to 10 bushels. And there are some additional costs. You got to have RTK. If you don't already have it, I mean that's an expense. The planter is that one again. I think is about $250,000, and the extra seed from 34 to 40 was $18 and $19. So the 6 bushel, if you're only getting a 6 bushel increase, that's really about break even. And if you get 10, you know it's close to 2 to 1 return on investment, just considering the seed. So I was pleased with the results. Y'all have any questions?
Was your fertilizer program based on soil tests?
Yes. We put out 2 tons of litter, and we run the analysis on the litter. And I discount the nitrogen 100% and discount the P and the K 25%. And then we apply our we run the rest of the fertility program off that information. And we go typically 260 units of nitrogen. And whatever's in the poultry litter, that's just gravy, that's just extra, we don't count it. And we've been on this program for years, and we use a lot of humic acid, organic acids, to hopefully break down the mineralized nutrients, get them to release.
If you were irrigating, you certainly have to be on the bed. Did you say your standard program is twin 38? Is that
Twin 38, right?
on a bed? And if you're so if you
Now I've got some fur irrigated, but I've run
That
about.
was sprinkler.
Yeah,
that's what
he said pivot, I think.
I'm just saying if you had like us, we're twin 38, but everything is fur irrigated, 98% of it. So your choice for bedded over standard wide row 38 singles, you're telling me that your standard program is twin 38.
Standard program is twin 38s, either pivot or fur irrigated.
And you've tested that against the old single 38 and
Yeah, we did that a long time ago.
okay, me too.
And I can't remember the numbers, but it was several. We put out some in the fall, but then we'll put some out in the spring and we'll bed up on it. Kind of concentrated. I don't know if that helps or not.
Planting in the spring.
Excuse me?
How close to planting in the spring?
I'd say at least a month prior to planting.
And
pretty much
you're just using litter for humic and fulvic and.
No, I apply additional humic and fulvic acid.
How do you apply
Additional, right. Yeah, I've been playing with that stuff for probably close to 10 years. Seeing good results. Or I feel like I am. We got real mellow soil, a lot of earthworm activities, which tells me that we got a lot of microbes in the soil. So,
34 on the twin row even is your sweet spot.
it was last year. And I'm not opposed to going higher if you really want to manage it for it, but I mean, I run out of time. You ever run out of time, Matt? Yeah, I really got
The
to.
next one, while
Yeah,
you're
okay.
away.
Your honest opinion, flat planted versus road planted?
Drainage. If you can get it to drain, and equipment costs. I mean, I'm an old cotton farmer, hope to be back there one year. Not gonna be this year, even though I'm tempted. So I'm just stuck on beds, and we've got the fur irrigated. So ultimately, you know, I'd kinda like to go to flat planted, maybe not no-till, but, some sort of system. You know, cut down equipment costs. You know, I don't even know how many planters I've got, 6 or 7. I'll probably slash that in half. I'll get away from this 38-inch twin. Plant everything flat. When we plant rice with drills, I've got 3 15-inch and 30-inch planters, so I could keep them. You know, there's all kinds of issues surrounding my madness.
So, between the humic acid and everything else, it looked like a pretty light soil. You were planting that in and pushing these yields on. What kind of organic matter do you typically work with?
1% or less. CECs are running, that field may be 5, probably closer to 4.5.
Wow.
Yeah. Highest I've got is probably 6.5. That's heavy ground for me.
What is that, like a Bruin or?
Dundee's, and, some baskets.
We better go ahead
Okay.
and switch over, so.
Taking too much time.
No, you're doing fine. Again, if you have any additional questions,